10:45 at the latest.
And what
I have
time
a
is it
rental
now?
inspection.
Oh, that's so it's not a training regimen.
Yeah, no, not training regimen. Something I have to do.
Hey, man, I just actually, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Robert Wynn. Kind of like a local real estate investor. I also specialize in rental properties, Airbnbs, multifamily homes, single-family
And
homes. And I actually got a fight coming up.
Yes,
November
man.
26th. So
Yes.
I'm going to fight for MCC. It is a day before Thanksgiving. Yep. It's called,
Super exciting. I'm actually a big fan of MCC. I kind of have a relationship with the owner. Actually, a good friend of mine's brother-in-law is Johnny.
Yeah,
So,
Johnny Case.
So
yeah.
I hopefully will be getting him on here soon too.
Oh, sweet.
But super exciting. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
And we
me.
already know Adam's a big deal, so we know that. We see him every week.
He's the man.
But we're super excited to have you.
Thank you.
And
I'm humble
on this
guys,
episode of
already.
Adam's show.
Yeah, it's the people's show. This is the real estate is about the people. I always say that. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm mainly saying it for me. So Robert, thank you so much for coming here today.
Thanks
I'm
for
very
having
excited
me.
to sit down with you and talk and kind of hear your story. And I think we decided that the topic of today's conversation is gonna be more about like how to negotiate and what we need to bring to the deal or the value that we need to bring when we structure a deal. So why don't you start by just kind of, you just mentioned you're local from here, but would love to hear a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, for sure. So I started real estate when I was about 19 years old. My dad told me, don't rent anymore, buy a house. And at the time, you could buy houses for about 30, 40,000. You could live in them for that amount. Bought my first house, fixed it up. Think I doubled my money.
Wow.
Yeah, I made about 40,000 off of that.
As a 19-year-old, yeah, you told me that before.
1920, yeah,
Wow.
1920.
That's amazing.
Made a lot of money. Fortunately, at the time, went to my accountant. I was telling him, hey, I want to buy a bar. I want to buy a motorcycle, all of that stuff. He said, stick to real estate, stick to what you know. Went out, bought a nice watch, bought a motorcycle, spent a lot of the money, just going out to eat, hanging out.
Classic.
So, I had a job at the time, and I was miserable. I was in the office. It was making decent money, but I always knew real estate was something I wanted to do. Kind of just stuck to what I knew and went back to it and just stayed doing it until I met you, yeah.
Thank you. Would you give this advice to young kids today? I say young kids, but a 19, 20-year-old individual that made some money, he or her, should they go buy a motorcycle? Would you do that the same now, or would that change?
It's all relevant at the time, too. It's like, if you want to enjoy life, you can always reward yourself with stuff. But at the same time, too, you should always take your money and your finances pretty serious. I mean, it was kind of dumb at the time, but, I'm very, I like to reward myself and then, work hard, play hard type deal. I kind of get lazy if I sit there and I don't want anything. I just kind of sit on my rent money. So it's not really a suggestion, but, if you close a deal or have a deal come up, definitely take the vacation you want or go out to eat Prime in Providence like we did twice in a row. So, enjoy life, but at the same time, take business pretty serious. Watch your finances. Don't blow all your money, but, life is short, too.
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone does that. I know I did this back in my day. And I think it's part of the lesson and part of the journey.
Yeah.
Kind of going and spending maybe on something that maybe at the end you say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have, but there's no shouldn't have. You should have, because that's the lesson.
Yes.
So I love that. Yeah. Okay, great. So you did your you were working this office job. You were miserable. You decided to go kind of on your own at that point.
Yeah. So I was just working at an office job. I was saving my pennies, kind of using my income at the office job to get loans from the bank until I got big enough. I found local investors, kind of like you.
Yeah.
And, I'd bring them a deal and see if they provided the money for me.
Oh, let's talk about that. This is really kind of brings us into bringing the value. So when you say bring the deal, can we talk about that a little bit? How does one start networking, learning who are the players, who has the ability to get things done, and when it comes to bringing the deals, like maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So there's a couple things when it comes to people with the money and people who want to invest and so forth. You have to bring value to them. You know, oftentimes when I was young, I wanted to start some business, and sometimes they'd say, "Oh, well, what value do you bring?" Well, I already knew that place was for sale. You know, you can't bring the people to do the work. You don't have any money involved or anything like that. So, you know, you have to bring value to people who actually want to invest in you. You have to make it kind of like, hey, I can't do this without you. Let's work as a team. So, and that's kind of what we did. The
Yeah.
first one, you told me, hey, I want to invest some money, and I brought you a deal that you couldn't resist.
Yes, you brought us a great deal, Robert. You really did, and it's amazing to this day. And how do you find good deals? How do you negotiate? How does that all start, and how does it finish?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what I do is anyone I know who's kind of in the real estate industry, I always just take them out for coffee, take them out for lunch, explain myself. Hey, this is what I do. I don't want anything from you. I just want to introduce myself. Worst comes worst, you know, you get a free meal out of it, you get coffee or something out of it. But I was always told no just means not right now. So,
Oh,
you know, when you're looking for a deal, everything is negotiable.
everything is negotiable.
Everything.
That's amazing. Do you have any negotiation tactics that you would like to share with us here today?
Yeah, you know, sometimes it can be a trade for services. Sometimes it can be some creative financing stuff. You know, it can be is if you don't have the cash, if you want to do a contract deal, then contracts kind of have to be on your term.
Right.
And, you know, the inspection comes up. You always have some stuff you can negotiate.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they're pretty firm, it's just, you know, you can walk on and do a different deal. There's plenty of them to do. Some people fall in love with a deal and they never get a good price for it. So,
Yeah. I think it happened to me many times. To be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you not fall in love with a deal?
Yeah, treat them all the same, you know. You have to look at it as more like a business. You know, the only deal I fell in love with is the house that I live in currently. You know, it was something I just had to have. One of those life things, you know, you work
Yeah.
hard, play hard, might as well get it. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's if you have a lot of deals in the pipeline and so forth, you can always, you know, pass or they'll call you back. You know, oftentimes if you're a big deal, 50,000, even 10,000 or whatever apart, they can't sell it. They'll call you back, and once you get that phone call back, you know you got them because you're the one with the money. So
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. And so you mentioned something about the inspection and how you could take that and try to renegotiate. Are there any examples of that you'd like to share, or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
more
for
like
sure.
actionable for the people out there that are listening? Like what would be their kind of way to go by that, to go about that?
yeah, yeah. So it all kind of really depends on, you know, the inspection process and what you're really buying. You know, if
Yeah.
you're buying a house that's 100,000, you're not going to be able to beat them up, you know, 20,000, 30,000 on, you know, a deal because
Right.
that's
So 30,
yeah, yeah,
40%. That's
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
30,
Yeah.
40%.
That's a
So,
lot. Yeah.
but what I do is I go in during the inspection. I see what's kind of wrong. Some people want to sell as is, and if they want to sell as is, you guys kind of have to come to terms because let's say your basement foundation's not good. I mean, you're spending 20,000 plus to get it fixed, and
Yeah.
right there, that's kind of all your money. So, yeah, Adam, I kind of wanted to talk about too, kind of like your sweet spot on stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of have mine, but yeah, let's you want to start with yours then?
My sweet spot,
Yeah, yeah.
sweet spot, as it relates to real estate.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, good question, Robert. I like how you turned it over. Okay. I think my sweet spot is putting deals together.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically structuring deals and putting deals together. So a deal is comprised of essentially three parties in a sense. There's the buyer, there's a seller, and then there's going to be this either some sort of an intermediary. It can be the title company, it can be an attorney, it can be a real estate agent, it can be someone, but someone's going to be there to kind of put the parties together at the end. So there's, I say 3 parties. So in a deal, there has to be 3 things. There has to be the buyer, the seller, and there has to be an agreement, and there has to be consideration. Consideration is some money that's put forth. That's why we have earnest money. If anyone's listening here, the reason why we have earnest money is because that constitutes a legal deal, basically. There has to be consideration. That's kind of like the way the law is written. And so I think as far as the sweet spot is just really understanding the mechanics of the deal, the financing behind it, the debt structure, the equity structure, which these are things we can definitely get into as well. And then at the end of the day, doing everything that you need to do to get to the closing table, which is not always very easy. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of where I... And then the other thing is I've spent so many years in this industry, and I still have a lot to learn. But I think everyone should master property management. Yeah. And we talk about that a lot, Robert, you and I. It's all about the management at the end of the day. Buying a property is all fine and dandy, but you got to know how to operate that thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's the other sweet spot, is that we really know how to operate the properties. Now, don't get me wrong. We have a lot of challenges when it comes to the back office and the administration part of things, and that's where I think our weak spot is. And that's we're working right now to establish a more secure system for that.
You got a big operation going now. So.
Yeah. And some say it's big, some say it's small. It's all in relation. It's all in relation. I don't think it's big, to be honest. But we're all blessed, so it's all
sure.
So you live kind of outside the city, right? What do you do for hobbies?
I love sports. Like I kind of said previously, I have a fight coming up.
Yeah.
Coming out of retirement for that, so it's gonna be fun. I like working out. Love animals.
Yeah.
Got 2 donkeys, bunch of cats and dogs, and
that's awesome.
It's just doing stuff outside, and hanging out with friends. Love food.
Yeah, me too. And when you do that, do you feel that makes you a better business person?
Yeah, it does. So I was going to go back to that. When I negotiate contracts with people, I take them out to, I always do it in person. I ask what their favorite restaurant is, and I take them out there, make them feel good. And I ask them in person after we're done eating, or while we're eating. I've actually done that to you one time when I was buying a house, and I asked him, hey, what can we do here? Can we meet middle ground? It's a lot easier in person, especially if you're able to talk to people, to kind of negotiate a deal. I have my iPad out and say, we'll sign a purchase agreement right here, and it's just much easier.
Yeah. Do you mind if I share that story really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
That was amazing. So I learned a lot from Robert, and I'm still learning, and I know that I'm going to continue to learn, and thank you for all the teachings you give me, Robert. First thing I learned is that you can do business with friends, that it's totally okay to do business with friends. In the past, I was always kind of against that. That's one. So the second thing is really we sat down in a restaurant, and Robert's really a master negotiator. Like you guys, I wish that was live. Like he just knows how to negotiate. And we sat down in the restaurant, and we kind of reached a deal, and he kind of just takes out his, Robert, you take out your iPad, and you click some numbers, some addresses, and flip it around, and here, sign. And we got the deal done right there, then. Didn't have to wait for an attorney to review. Didn't have to wait for an agent or some compliance or whatever it is you wanna. There was no delay, and I thought that was also very nice, Robert. You kind of make it very smooth and easy. And
it's always good to have an attorney on your side too.
Of course,
one that can close fast.
Oh yes, very. Nice, Robert. Very nice. So let's talk about that. Why is it important to have that, and how do you get to a point where you have an attorney that can close fast?
Yeah, for sure. So there's nothing more frustrating when you have a deal and you're waiting for an attorney or you
Yeah.
can't get a hold of him, a lot of stuff comes up on a deal where you need the attorney to help you out.
Right.
It's always good to have a good relationship with one.
Yeah.
You know, take them out for lunch or something. Something that small, whatever, 25, $50 to take them out for lunch can mean a lot to them.
Yeah.
And it's just at like a bar or something, you know? If you give a bartender a nice tip,
Yeah.
you go up to a bar, they're going to probably service you first.
Right.
It's the same concept.
I love it. So here's another live, not live, but a true example of a situation that Robert and I encountered together. I was selling a house, and the buyer wanted to close in like 4 weeks. We negotiated. I gave them a little discount. They were ready to go. It was a cash transaction. And so I called Robert. I said, Robert, I want to put this property under contract to sell, but we want to close in 2 weeks. Would you talk to your attorney? It's attorney we use together, but Robert really has a very good relationship with him. I said, would you talk to this very great attorney and see that we can close fast? And by golly, we did. And so thank you for that, Robert.
Yeah.
You made the impossible possible, and I think that's also very important to people to understand.
It's
out
good to
there.
know people.
It is good to know people, yeah, for sure. It's not about what you know; it's about who you know.
Who you know, exactly.
And, you know, the other saying is, "Your net worth is your network." Yeah,
Yeah. So
that still stays true. So you're fighting, and then in November, right before Thanksgiving, you said?
yeah, right before Thanksgiving.
And then you mentioned something about philanthropy after this fight. Would you like to share that?
Yeah.
here?
So first off, I appreciate it, but you know, our plan is to partner with like a local business. It's a coffee shop. My buddy TJ owns it. It's a Northern Vessel
Okay.
downtown.
Check it out, guys. Northern Vessel. I gotta go
Yes,
there as well.
Amazing,
downtown.
amazing. The
Okay.
best coffee.
Cool. Whereabouts?
So it's on Keo Way.
Kiowa. Okay.
And I was talking to him about stuff, and he said, "Hey, this is something I've always wanted to do. You know, I'm in a spot in life right now where I want to help the community." And so Adam said, "Hey, I'll match whatever he's gonna match you." And the plan is to give back to the community, buy some backpacks and so forth, give them to schools. School supplies, and just give back to community,
Wow.
feel good about yourself and so forth. So.
That's amazing. I think the main lesson here is that we have to give back to the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's the community that feeds us,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to just go back and keep feeding the community. And I think in real estate, we do that also at the end of the day because we provide housing. And so that's a big part of giving someone a roof above their head. That's a big deal. That's a
For
really
sure.
big deal. So, yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, Robert, I think we're going to be wrapping up here soon. I don't know what time is it yet. Oh, cool. My man. My man Raymond with the timer. I love it. So, any advice? There's a lot of questions they always ask on podcasts,
Yeah.
right? What would you do different if you were 10 years younger? You know, is there anything you do different?
Yeah, for sure. So if I was 10 years younger, I would kind of focus on my sweet spot. Right now, my sweet spot is around houses I can get for 80 to 100,000, fix them up, rent them out, get a good cap rate on them, get good tenants. And also, if I want, I can sell them easily, or I can present it to an investor that can easily purchase it. You know, I kind of went out my realm when I was younger and tried bigger projects, smaller projects, but just kind of know what you're best at. And you don't typically have to stick to it, but just kind of know what you're good at and what you can provide and, you know, what you can make your money out of. So.
I love it. So understand your sweet spot. I think another way to define it is your investor DNA. Like, what is your DNA at that moment? Like, what are you comfortable with? What do you know that works? What's in the core of your being? You know that's where you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, cool. Any interesting books that you read that helped you along the way?
You know, not really books, but I learned a lot from like people in person. You know,
Mentors.
I would always mentors and even just businessmen from all types of businesses, to see how they deal with people, deal with contractors, negotiate deals, and so forth. You can learn something from everyone,
Wow.
no
That's
matter
amazing.
what spot in life they're at.
I think we should end right there. That's amazing. Amazing what you just said now. Robert, thank you so much for coming here
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Yeah, it was a great time, and I look forward to having you again.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.